Hello again, everybody. Barry Hyatt here in Scottsville at the University of Kentucky Extension Office with my good friend Janet Johnson. Janet, it's a little colder out there today. We got a nip in the air. Halloween's just right around the corner. Are you excited about fall?
I am so excited, Barry, because downtown Scottsville is being invaded by scarecrows.
I hear that,
Lots of fun things happening here in Scottsville and Allen County, and the cool weather couldn't come at a better time.
Well, what are we talking about today?
You know,
it's looking
people,
great here on the set.
They love breakfast, but it's too much work. But this is a great make-ahead recipe where you can enjoy a great muffin. And we've got wonderful muffins, but they capitalize on the idea that you can get pumpkins of all shapes and sizes now, and apples of a lot of different varieties, and we can put those together and have the perfect muffin for fall.
Awesome.
We can do it. We can do it, Barry.
Well, I'm
we
looking
absolutely
forward to
can.
this one, yeah.
And what we're going to also do is show people how, just a quick tip on how you can take a small pumpkin, and I'm talking, Barry, the best size to work with for this recipe is what we call a pie pumpkin.
Okay.
And that's the tiny pumpkins that you can see, and you can see the size
Right
over
here.
here. They're just a little pumpkin, and we can actually take that little pumpkin, Barry, and we can poke just a few holes in him, put him right in the microwave, soften his rind so that we can cut him like a melon.
Okay.
And then we can begin working to actually get our own fresh pumpkin out of the shell.
Sure.
And that's what you do. You actually, once we cut the pie pumpkin in two, we remove the seeds and we save those, and I know you can smell those because we have used those seeds, and they're a great fall snack, a pumpkin seed that's toasted, and we'll show those in a moment.
Okay.
But after we actually soften the pumpkin enough to cut him in two, take out the strings and the seeds and save the seeds. We wash those off for later. And then we put the pumpkin half back in a microwave dish, just a little bit of water, and then we cover with plastic wrap, put him back in the microwave to soften and cook the pulp. And you can see very simply what begins to happen. We just simply take and scrape around the pumpkin, and we actually have our own fresh pumpkin that comes out.
Yeah.
So all we're doing at that point is taking that pumpkin and then using just a potato masher. Now you could puree in your food processor or your blender. I'm old school, and this works really fast and really quick, so I'm just mashing that pumpkin up like potatoes.
Sure.
Same thing. And once we get a pie pumpkin done, you have enough pulp that you can make several batches of muffins. In fact, from the size that you see a small pie pumpkin, you can actually have about 3 cups of cooked pumpkin.
Okay.
That enables you to make 2 of the recipes that we're going to show you today, and that makes a lot of muffins. A lot of muffins. But it's all dependent upon size. Like I said, the potato masher, we're actually cooking that, and you know, Barry, you can even, if your shell is right, you can see here that you can save the shell, let it cool, save it. After you have your pumpkin out, it can actually serve as a container.
Okay.
So we don't want to overcook the shell in the beginning, so be careful before you actually cook it too much before you cut it. But that's a way that you can use the whole pumpkin.
So being very smart with the entire pumpkin.
Absolutely. So let's get down to the recipe. So let's pretend that we have, again, we've cooked some pumpkin, as you can see here, and we've cooked it with our potato masher, and it's just a good pumpkin, but you can tell it looks different than the canned pumpkin, can't you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So
most certainly.
It's a better flavor, a better taste, so I really urge people just to take this step.
I think a better aroma even, actually.
Oh, it's delicious. It smells wonderful, and so take the time to actually do this, guys. It doesn't take as long as you think with the microwave. It's really easy to do. Now, it's kind of messy with getting the seeds out, but that's kind of the fun of it. You know, the jack-o'-lantern, cleaning it out, you know, getting it ready, and that's cool. So you can even set these guys out for a while and decorate with them. Just keep them cool, don't let them deteriorate, and then you can bring them in and you can actually cook the pumpkin pulp. Yay! So now, with all that, let's get down to business. The muffin is just like any standard muffin, but I will tell you that in this muffin, we're actually using a mixture of whole wheat and all-purpose white flour to add a little more fiber, a little more texture. And this is Hogston meal. This is in Kentucky, and we like to use good Kentucky grain flour like that too. So this is a half and half whole wheat plain flour. Now you could use the plain flour if you only want to use this one. This adds more fiber, and it's real nice with the pumpkin and the apple. Gives a great flavor.
Good deal.
So keep that in mind. Now, what we're doing is we're simply taking, as we said, we pre-measured about 1 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour.
Okay.
Okay, and this is plain, all
Yes.
right? And then we take 1 1/4 cups of plain white flour. So again, plain flour, not self-rising, but
Okay.
plain.
All right.
Then we're adding, again, about 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking soda, okay? So we add that in, and then we're going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and that's what we put in those all-purpose types of flours to make that happen, of course. We'll get that out there.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so now we've got some dry ingredients going here, and then we're going to add delicious spices. Now,
I love smelling those spices.
Here's where, with this muffin, you can do as you want. You can do 3 spices, you can do 2 spices. So I have actually done about 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon,
Okay.
and we'll put that guy in there. And then you can add 1/2 teaspoon of ginger and about 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. You know, in making the muffins here at the office for the recent Farmers Markets event, we found that public taste testing loves the nutmeg and the cinnamon more than adding the ginger. So I'm using a teaspoon of nutmeg, but you can vary. You can do what you want.
You can use ginger if you want to.
Yeah,
It's okay.
you sure can. Whatever flavor you love, you can do,
Sure.
you know, with this. So all we're simply doing here is combining the dry ingredients and making those. Everybody who's made muffins knows this step. It's real simple. You're just combining until you see the mixtures kind of mix together. You know, Barry, you don't want to work with flour if you're making quick breads a lot. In other words, you don't want to treat it like a yeast spread. So we don't want to overmix, you know, these muffins in any step. So that's why just barely combine.
Okay.
You know, so we're not doing that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is make some wet ingredients, we'll call them. And here's where the pumpkin comes into play. We're adding about 1.5 cups of pureed or mashed pumpkin. And you all know how to do that now. You know how to get the pumpkin.
That's right.
Exactly. So we're taking that out. And you know, Barry, you could do this pumpkin the day before. You could put it in the refrigerator, or you could even freeze extra pumpkin in this state so that you could have this ready for more muffins in the future. So this can be a great make-ahead step. While you're doing something, just go ahead and do a lot. And you know, Barry, you can use larger pumpkins too. It's just kind of hard to get the larger ones in the microwave.
Right.
They're a little tougher to work with, but you can use those. And you can actually either boil or bake. There are other ways to cook the pumpkin for sure. Okay, now the next ingredient that I love, Barry, and this is great Kentucky, Tennessee honey. You know, the Allen County beekeepers have members all over Tennessee and Kentucky, even down to Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Oh, sure.
You know, this is just our favorite group. And so this is the honey of Harris Overholt, H.D. Overholt, Harris Homestead Farms honey.
Okay.
And he actually brought a couple of kinds. And you know, when you're buying honey, and we've talked about this before, honey comes in different colors.
Yes.
Yes, and where and depending on where the bees have taken, you know, their nectar or their pollen to work with, whether it's a tulip poplar tree that has a dark honey, or whether it's a clover plant, you know, out in the field, that's going to be a lighter honey. So know that the flavor can vary, and we kind of like the more robust honey. This recipe allows you to use 2 cups of honey. Now, for some people, they say, "Ooh, that's a lot of honey. That's a little expensive." So if you don't want to go for the whole thing and have this rich, wonderful honey flavor, you can add sugar. Now, we do ask that you, again, adjust the baking soda just a little bit, about 1/4 teaspoon, and raise your oven temperature. Right now, we can feel 325 degrees. You would want to raise it if you don't use the honey. The honey makes a thicker mixture. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We've even started a little bit of honey I had left over from another bottle, but I'm going to put, look at that delicious tulip poplar honey, Barry. That is really dark and rich, and we're going to get enough to get 2 cups. Just a wonderful, wonderful honey. And that Harris Dean Overholt is just great.
Now, are they based
with
here in
his bees.
Scottsville?
Yes, Harris Farms, Harris Overholt Farms are here in Scottsville. That's true. Okay, so we're going to get that up there and get about 2 cups there. In fact, we may even want to mix and let that one kind of rest and use the rest of that for some biscuits later. And actually open this little guy.
We're going to get fat and happy today, aren't we?
Oh my goodness, we are. I tell you what. You know, again, all you have to do is take the little thing off, and we're just going to add a little more to get that up to 2 cups. Like we said, if people feel this is a little expensive, you again can actually add sugar.
Yes.
And that's a less expensive option. But a lot of people like the health properties, again, of honey. They like the thicker flavor, the textures, etc.
Sure.
And you know, this is as slow as molasses on a cold day, right? You know, getting our
It's gonna
honey
get
out
there
here.
eventually.
Yeah, it is. We're taking a little more time than we planned on today. But you know, meanwhile, we've got, again, the rest of the things we're going to be adding are pretty simple. We're going to break a couple of eggs. We have the honey, we have the pumpkin, and we still haven't mentioned that favorite ingredient, Barry, and that's going to be those delicious apples. That's another thing to do ahead of time. You can chop the apples. This recipe calls for a Granny Smith apple, or I've tried a ginger gold today.
Okay.
And we'll see what you think about the ginger golds.
All right, sure.
You want to add an apple that is a little bit tart or a good baking apple. And the ginger gold is a variety that actually marries up the properties of the Golden Delicious with some other favorites that people have, a new variety. So it's a different texture and flavor with this apple, but it's great. So you can see that this is delish, okay? So we're adding the pumpkin and the honey. I have a half a cup of canola oil that I'm adding.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to add 2 eggs, and I might even, again, most people know that the cardinal rule is not to just break an egg over things, but for time today, we're going to go ahead and put these 2 large eggs in and get these guys going.
Now, why so much honey, would you guess?
It, again, is the sweetening factor and also the size of this recipe, Barry.
Okay.
This is a big recipe.
Okay.
This will make 18 muffins.
Wow.
Or recently, with the mini muffins, we made 96 little muffins. So this is a recipe for you to make quantities, to make things for the holidays so that you can either freeze your muffins that you make, put those in the freezer, and you can pull them out. This gives you a lot of muffin.
And,
It
you know,
does.
We've talked before so many times on this segment about, you know, tailgating parties. Lots of folks around our area love, you know, college football, high school football. Would you maybe even consider making this
Oh my
as a
gosh, yes.
tailgate?
This is a great coffee breakfast item on a cold fall day to get you going tailgating. And you may even want to whisk and get these ingredients, but you can see we've taken just a little time this morning to get these together.
Sure.
And everybody can see what a delicious mixture this is. This is very thick, it's very flavorful, and therefore it's going to make a moist muffin. A
Yes.
really moist muffin.
Which is great.
And that, again, is something that people often say, well, I don't know, those muffins, they just dry out over time. Not this one. It only gets better. So we're going to add this to the dry ingredients. We're going to fold it in. Once again, don't work too hard, you know, with quick breads,
Right.
etc. That's how to make them tough, again, and they just don't do as well. So all we're doing is moistening these. And Barry, I'm going to let you kind of take this foil off that we had ready, and you can see the ginger gold apples that we have gotten ready to add in, and we're almost done with this.
Okay.
Almost done. So we only want to moisten just enough to let the dry ingredients kind of disappear.
Okay.
We do not want to overwork, but we want to turn from the bottom because that's where the dry ingredients usually get stuck. And I'm going to let you put the apples right in here.
Okay.
We'll add those in. We're adding again the ginger golds.
Now,
Now,
let's
I'll
get
help
you-
you out here.
Yeah,
I'll
I was
take the
gonna say.
spatula up there. But look how thick and nice and moist this batter is.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
it's
very nice
awesome.
thing. That is the difference that the honey adds. It has a lot of thick texture and a lot of moisture. And so that's why we're using that honey. We're doing that. So Barry, we've got a nice ingredient here, preheated to 325. You can now use and put your dough into papers, or you can spray and get these ready to go in. And then we have delicious muffins that we'll let you see. And I know you'll show a photo of those to the
Yes.
kids. And we actually
Yes.
made some extra large muffins. We made regular muffins, and like I say, you can make lots of little bitty muffins too. So it's a great recipe.
Outstanding. And I bet they don't taste too badly either, do they?
They are delicious, and they're so good for you, and that's
Yeah.
the great thing. But they're
Yeah.
delicious. That's
Yeah.
even more important.
Well, that's awesome. And,
Yeah.
and again, how long did you say that you have to bake them?
They depending on the size,
Uh-huh.
they will bake anywhere from like 15 10 minutes for little tiny muffins, for the mini muffins.
Okay.
About 15 to 20 minutes for the regular size muffins, we'll call that. And then for the super duper extra large big muffins, it took about 30 minutes to get those out.
So still not a very long process regardless.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. This goes very, very fast once you get everything assembled like that too.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Well, fantastic. Well, guys, if you want this recipe, we have got you covered. You can check out our website. That's www.nctc.com. Or you can email me at North Central. My email address is barry.hyatt@nctc.com. And again, we'll make sure that you get that recipe. We've had so many people tell us they love these recipes, and now
I'm
with
glad.
the fall season coming on, I know people are looking forward to something maybe a little sweeter.
This is a little sweeter. It's a great sweet treat, and it's so moist. It's so good. Freezes well. You can't beat it. And you can top it off, Barry, with a little snack. We didn't show the seeds. I want to bring those up quickly. You know, just at the end, you could actually put some of these little pumpkin seeds up on the muffins, or on the top. You could actually chop those and kind of sprinkle those before you bake them.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of things with pumpkin seeds. They're wonderful. So we're using the whole pumpkin, Barry. So I hope people enjoy.
Not wasting one bit, are we?
Not wasting a bit.
Well, thanks so much, Janet.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for watching today, and we hope you'll watch again next month as well. But for now, we are signing off here from Scottsville. Barry Hyatt for NCTV. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next month.